Welcome. Stand in the center of your mat. Say hello to your body. And find a solid foundation outside of your feet, parallel under the hips. Inhale into mountain pose, hands in prayer position at the heart. Breathe here. We will do a simple standing flower warm up before moving down to the floor in an extended, gentle grounding flower practice. Breathe, exhale, inhale up on your toes, exhale hands down on top of your crown. Take a full, long breath. Exhale, your hands behind your neck. Inhale into the throat and sleepwalker pose. Wait until your breathing is ready to change. Exhaling down into Buddha belly pose for the sacral. Exhaling down into ragdoll pose, arms above the knees, release. Inhale up into chair pose, solar plexus. Inhale, straight up, draw belly in, exhale, straight leg forward bend for the diamond eye. Full breath. On the next inhale, slightly part the feet. Inhale up into centaur pose, opening the chest, sinking slightly for the lungs. Next inhale, jump or step into goddess pose for the root. Full breath. Before exhaling down, knuckles to the ground. Inhaling up into ape pose, feeling the bottom of your thighs for the chin. Inhale, straight legs, straight arms, star pose for the navel. Breathe in your core. In your core for the navel. Exhale down between the knees to a low squat for the third eye. Stare at the ground and consider coming up on the balls of your feet and opening the palms. Before turning and moving into child's pose. Slightly separate the knees, draw the belly in, arms reach to either side and forward of the head. Breathe into the lower back and allow the thighs to release. Allow each breath to fill and show you your tensions. Inhale up into a gentle camel pose. And either stay there or return to child's pose. You may do empowering exercises each time you do not feel comfortable remaining still in a pose. it is also beneficial to move more to warm up. In a gentle camel pose, it is good to find your foundation. If you can't, shift to the balancing exercises, reaching one finger down to a heel and inhaling the other arm up for a half camel pose. You may alternate breath to breath or stay on one side. When you are ready, return to the gentle camel. Feel the difference this makes as you rise out of your foundation. You may consider coming forward, bending your chin down for a throat lock, and then from the base of the spine, returning to a gentle camel. Before exhaling to child's pose. Notice the impact these changes have made. Each time you leave a pose and then return to it, notice how the routine you did in between affects your ability to go deeper. Inhale your way up to rabbit pose for the crown. The arms cradle the head, one palm in another. Ground through the forearms, elbows, in an arch up through the shoulders, down through the hips, and into the other foundation through the knees and the top of the feet. Feel this arch. You may consider turning your toes under and rising into jackrabbit. Brace the head and neck more strongly with the strength of the arms. When you return to rabbit, breathe into your upper back and allow it to increase the curve of the arch over your head. Inhale, lifting one arm and threading it under your body. Tip to the side, temple to the ground. The opposite arm is straight, bracing through the fingertips. Sink and release the shoulders. Inhale to center. Other side. The opposite arm threads under the chest and head. Temple to the ground. The upper arm relatively straight, bracing through the fingertips. Let the feet remain conscious. Keep life in the toes. And each breath shows you where your tensions are and releases them a little more deeply with the exhale. Return to rabbit pose. When we engage the balancing poses, we separate the shoulders or the hips. Allow them to move independently and then recognize how they return to work in unity. Consider rising into jackrabbit pose. Toes under, lift the knees, straighten the legs. Stay. Breathe. And return to rabbit when you choose to. You may always rest in the basic pose for each chakra. Rest consciously. Breathe with focus. And notice what your body is telling you. Breathe into each area that calls your attention and allow your breath to lead you into increasingly subtle adjustments of your alignment and focus. If you lose your focus, increase the challenge, or choose to return to an exercise with movement, balancing side to side, or up and down in the empowering flower. Rotate up, elbows beneath shoulders, forearms parallel, sink into low cobra. You may consider turning the toes under to feel the difference in leverage, and then returning to flat, to the top of the feet, flat to the floor. Recognize the arch from the top of the feet, up the legs, through the hips and pelvis, and then rising up through the upper body. Turn to one side, hip to the ground, bottom leg stacked with top leg above it. The elbows under the shoulder, the forearm is straight out from the body. Exhale your head down to the side and release the inside of your chest towards the ground. Lounge lizard pose is for the throat. Release the neck and feel comfortable. Rotate to the other side. On your hip, down the inside of the thigh, stack the upper leg above the lower leg. Then release the head and neck down towards the shoulder and the lower ribs towards the floor. Let each breath bring you deeper. Rotate back to low cobra. Resist the urge to strain the neck. Allow the arch to begin at the root and rise up into the chest. Gently draw the forearms towards your body, creating more leverage for the arch. Consider turning the toes under and walking up into dolphin pose. Dolphin pose is difficult. It is perfectly reasonable to rise up with one breath and come back down with the next. Consider using this time to do just that until you feel comfortable engaging the challenge to stay. You're reaching back with the heels, perfectly appropriate to pump them and adjust. You're breathing into your armpits to activate the lats in support of the upper shoulder, lengthening from the arms into your core, pressing down through the wrists and palms. Allow the elbows to remain steady and the neck to relax. Notice whatever draws your attention most. Feel, focus, breathe, and then center and ask what you must do to find natural ease. At any point, return to low cobra. Remain conscious. Gently recognize the strength squeezing the thighs towards each other, creating lines through the hips. Roll on your back. Reclined pose, knees upright, feet flat. The pelvis, the sacral chakra, grounds through the lower back. Breathe into the lower back and consider lifting up into a gentle bridge. Either stay or engage the empowering exercise. Brace through the upper arms and tuck the shoulder blades under slightly more. Relax through the neck. Ground through the arch of the feet so the ball and the heel work together. Let each breath bring you deeper. Before you choose to change, breathe. At least one breath should follow the impulse to shift. Then, exhale your way down. Stay here, or hug your knees to your chest and twist to one side. Your lower arm rests on the upper knee, accentuating the twist. The opposite arm can reach gently in the opposite direction, accentuating the twist. Let your head remain centered on the chest unless you're confident that you can recognize the smaller benefit in twisting the head to gaze at the straightened arm. Do not constrain the neck. Inhale, lift the upper knee. Allow the lower leg to follow, separating the hips in the change. Other side. Lower hand draws the knees down to the floor. Opposite arm straightens. Breathe into the hips and allow them to separate. Each breath gives you a clear opportunity to go a little deeper. If you do not follow the breath and its impact on your body, you will miss the deepening benefit. Allow your breath to enter your tensions and constrictions, and then exhale and release them. Returning to reclined pose, consider supporting a bridge by grounding through the elbows. The thumbs go under the lower back, fingertips wrap around, supporting the arch before releasing this support and exhaling back down to the ground. Straighten the legs and lie briefly in Savasana. Hands to either side, palms opening up. Inhale and lift your legs straight above your body. You don't need to lock the knees. The benefits of this outweigh the drawbacks. You do need to feel the length of your leg through the hip. The leg begins at the back of your butt. The legs meet in your core. When you recognize the ways the muscles work together, they work together more effectively. You may draw the knees into the chest at any point. And consider lifting one leg, reaching for the toes or the back of the shin. And explore lifting and lowering your body with the breath, distributing tension in the circle between the toes and through the chest. Other side. Inhale the knee in. Wrap 2 fingers around the big toe. And then relatively straighten the leg. The goal here is to let no specific muscle group be overly tense. When you recognize that there is a focus tension, adjust your posture and sense how a broader range of your body can help do this work. Today, I am not particularly warm and feel tighter than normal when I do this exercise. That's okay. Let each day be different. Consider a gentle shoulder stand, legs bent. So you're bracing the back of the upper arm to the elbow, you're inhaling your butt over your chest, and you're wrapping the fingers and thumb around your lower sides. This braces under the hips and gives a gentle inversion. Become familiar with this foundation. From here, you will learn to engage both shoulder stand and plow. There's no need to rush that. Great benefit occurs here. Exhale your way back down. Either return to Savasana or keep the legs lifted, feeling what you've done, bracing the back of the head into the floor. Easy boat pose in the solar plexus. Brace your upper body and gently lift it onto the shoulders. The elbows are grounded beneath the shoulders, the forearms are down by your sides. Focus here, resting the neck backwards before lifting from your solar plexus the legs and feet. Point the feet and feel this lift coming from your core. Exhale your way down. Sense into your alignment. And either rest here or consider lifting your legs once again. At any point, you may stay in a pose that is working for you. This practice is particularly good for restoring and rejuvenating. That only works when you follow your intuitions and stay. Boat pose lifts up onto the sit bones. You are balanced between your upper body and your legs. You may wrap your hands behind your thighs, just above the knees. Brace here and become comfortable in the position before exploring releasing into straight arms in the air. Recline back on your back, hugging your knees to your chest before crossing one ankle just above the opposite knee. Thread the inner arm through the legs and wrap behind the straight thigh. Draw the hip in towards your body. Let each exhale bring you deeper. Other side, outside of the ankle, just above the knee. Thread inner arm through the legs to meet the opposite hand and draw the thigh and crossed leg towards your chest. This is a gentle hip stretch. Let it be perfect for you. Release this hip stretch to hug your knees to your body. When you are ready. Return to easy boat. Supported boat with the hands behind the thighs, or full boat with the fingertips outstretched. Straight arms, straight legs. Breathe into your core and focus on this breathing. Adjust the legs and chest if you need to. But let the adjustment come from your core. Support your legs and chest when you need to by holding the upper thighs before returning to the ground. Upright in staff pose. Inhale the arms above your head. Draw the belly in as you exhale down in a forward bend. Keep the head up. Explore how your body aligns and consider lifting the arms to avoid collapsing the upper body down prematurely. Breathe into this posture, melting the belly towards the thighs. Any sensation in one area is an indication that you're either out of alignment or are exposing something that needs extra attention. First, explore redistributing the stretch by bringing more of your body into conscious awareness. Then, breathe in to focus tension and allow the exhaling to show you a deeper way. It is not best to always be conscious of your breathing. Let it go and bring it back. You often get deeper when you take a break from emphasizing focus. Part your legs in a wide angle forward bend. Begin to go back and forth, bending over one leg and then the other. Today, the goal is to stay more in each pose. And yet, if you know that you are too distracted by a lack of coherence. Alternate between the balancing exercise or the empowering exercise until you feel like it becomes more effective to stay. You may also do something in between, spending several breaths in one alignment before moving to another. Try to avoid being impulsive about these changes. Make a conscious decision to recognize that staying still is not working and shift your goal to engage a more movement-focused exercise. Remain aware of the opposite leg when you're bending over one leg. Return to center. Gather the legs in a forward bend. And either stay or brace the hands and fingertips and lift the legs. Your butt's still on the ground. This is intense core work and worth it. Iron out the legs and breathe in staff pose. You're grounding through the hands. The shoulders are engaged, straightening the spine. Allow tensions to wiggle out before returning to stillness. Prepare to explore table pose. Turn the feet flat and rise from the strength of your core. Hang out here a bit. Do not accentuate the pose yet. Walk your feet a little further away from your chest. Explore lengthening the spine by gathering the thighs and moving the knees away from the chin. Gently tip the head back without straining the neck or throat. Return to staff pose whenever the struggle becomes counterproductive. Recognize the lengthened spine. Lift from the palms through the shoulders, and then raise your left knee for a gentle twist with a straight leg. Wrapping your arm around the knee and the left hand back slightly behind the hip. Lift through the chest with each breath, and on the exhales, explore, slightly deepening the twist. Gently reverse for the other side. Left arm wraps around the knee, right arm twists and braces on the ground. The head can stay centered on the chest, or slightly twist the neck to the extent it helps accentuate the body's twist without kinking up the throat. Use your breath to separate the hips. And return to staff pose. Notice how your lower body responds to the twists, grounding through the sit bones and lifting from the palms through the shoulders. Allow your feet to naturally turn down to once again explore table pose. Again, find your first easy, natural limit. Give yourself space to explore the placement of your hands and feet. It is better to slightly collapse your core than to overstrain your shoulders and knees. Find a solid enough foundation and then return to staff pose. The root chakra, butterfly. Turn your feet so the outside edge of each foot meets at the ground. Lift from the sit bones through the chest and open the inside edge of your feet with your thumbs. Allow the leverage from your hands and feet through the arms to help you lift the spine. The thighs and knees surrender down. You may support gravity with a stretch from within, yet do not push in a manner that induces new forms of tension. Find rest in this strength. Breathe into the sacral and root, feeling the hips separate and release up into the belly. Keep the lower abdomen active to support the lift through the chest. Hero pose. Lift and stack the knees. You may keep the top leg bent with the foot flat. If you feel comfortable, you may lower the knee to stack them in a deeper hero pose before twisting towards the top leg. Focus on the twist in the lower body. This is an exceptional way to open and separate the hips. as ever. The neck, when constrained, will simply distract you from an effective spinal twist. Do. Turn in the opposite direction, walk under, and end up in hero pose on the opposite side. Once again, you may keep the upper leg with the foot flat and knee raised. If it is a comfortable challenge, lower the leg and knee to stack them before twisting towards the upper leg. Use leverage from the arm above the knee and the hand wrapped to a comfortable position slightly behind your hip. Focus on the lower body stretch. And allow your shoulders to separate as well. Return consciously to butterfly pose. Ground the root. And shift to cow pose for the chin. Knees under hips. Palms under shoulders. Top of the feet flat. Head relatively level. Be here. This is both a very stable position and an unusual one. Allow a shift to cat pose to help you iron out tension in the spine. Begin the arch at the base of the spine and feel it rise. So you restrain the urge to move your shoulders, neck, and head until the end of your arching. Do the same when you lift up in a lifted cow. Cat. Exhale. You may stay with several breaths in either pose when it offers you relief and focus. When you choose to alternate between poses on your breaths, or when you choose to stay still, be conscious of the rhythm you've chosen. You may lift one leg. Breathe with it raised. Exhale it down. Inhale. Exhale in center before lifting the opposite leg. If you would like an added challenge, raise the opposite arm with the opposite leg, sensing your center in your core and the integration of the two sides of your body. Find your natural limits before returning to center with a flat back. Focus here before sinking down on your belly. You may rest your third eye or your chin on the ground. Before reaching your arms out to the side and rising with your legs and arms on an inhale into airplane. Take several breaths there and either repeat or lift the legs and reach your arms back to hold your feet. Breathe here in a low boat. Stay or rise into an easy boat pose. Concentrate on feeling centered and becoming accustomed to this unusual position. Slightly lifting the chest and quads off the ground is a significant step. Be present before returning with your chest and head to the ground. Breathe here, relieving tension straight down. Return to all fours with your elbows on the ground. The navel chakra, beginning with puppy pose. With your elbows under the shoulders, your palms rest in a natural position that's correct for puppy pose and a gentle down dog with the knees on the ground. You may turn your toes under to focus your leverage and stay with the first easy, natural position in this pose. Exhale into puppy, keeping the chest lifted. And either stay there or rise up into downward dog, moving the hands slightly towards the feet for correct placement. Explore where you are. Shift your weight from one leg to the other. Accentuate the weight through one arm and another. Sense your open core, lengthening from the root to the heart. By breathing into your core, you align strength through your arms and shoulders. By breathing into your core, you align lines from your heel through the root into your core and the navel. You may consider lifting one leg. Focus the upper body and recognize how this affects your balance. Prioritize remaining centered over lifting it higher. Simply being accustomed to being on one leg is more important than lifting as high as you can. Exhale down consciously. Center with another breath or 3 before lifting the other side. Again, you may lift your foot 3 inches off the ground and work right there. It is the alignment and the shift in your weight that you must become accustomed to before going deeper. Being present with your true limits is a more healthy path into deeper poses than pushing yourself to your absolute capacity, straining and shaking. Return to down dog once again, give yourself permission to explore here. This is a very strong pose and a very easy pose to work with too much effort. So return to puppy pose if and when it becomes counterproductive or annoying. Puppy is elbows under shoulders. Trust the placements of the hands, and then begin shifting, inhaling into an easy up dog. Easy up dog has toes under, knees on the ground. Gives you more leverage and allows you to concentrate on the first elements of alignment. Breathe before shifting to the third eye and a low squat. A low squat, you're up on the balls of your feet. Your knees open and your arms go down on the inside of the knee, hands flat. You stare at the ground in a triangle between the palms and the point slightly in front of your body. Be here. This is, for many, a very deep pose. Allow the hips to sink and the lower back to lengthen. Slightly shift your weight to find the way your body is aligned and working. You may consider opening your legs more broadly, sticking one leg out straight to the side, heel to the ground. Then you turn the toes up, twisting the leg and opening the hip. Gaze at that foot, keeping the upper body and neck relaxed. Perhaps lift a little higher through the strength of your arms, allowing the lower body to sink. Alternate, shifting your weight, bending the straight leg, straightening the bent leg. Heel down, toes up, twist to open the leg and separate the hips. Keep calm in your face. In all balancing poses, you may shift back and forth when it feels counterproductive to stay. Return to a low squat. Palms to the ground, arms on the inside of the knees. Consider moving towards a crow pose. When you move towards a crow pose, the balls of your feet remain on the ground. The weight shifts from the knee, braced into the arms. Stop at that point. You may stay and breathe several times or shift back into the low squat after one breath. Going back and forth builds both strength and the integration of your muscles that becomes necessary to stay in the deeper pose. It can be more beneficial to go back and forth than to force yourself to stay when you're too unsure, too uncomfortable, or too strained. And returning to a low squat allows your body to embrace this deep pose. Only moving forward with the weight on the palms and perhaps considering lifting your feet in crow pose when you feel focused. It is beneficial to stay in crow for several breaths before coming back into a low squat, feeling the life you've brought into your body and grounding Shift your weight and rotate to lift one arm in the air, stretching out the shoulders, exhaling, inhaling, lifting the other arm, sensing your current balance. Return to low squat. And then sink down into a child's pose for the heart. Rest and release into the ground. Allow your knees to be comfortably open. Draw your belly in a little more to surrender towards the thighs. Lengthen the lower back, releasing. Sink and surrender your last tensions into the ground. If the knees become uncomfortable, rise up a little into a modified puppy pose. This is a time for comfort and an opportunity to evaluate whether you need any last attention. Is anything a little tweaky that would encourage you to choose a couple final poses or exercises before moving into stillness? Breathe with your heart and recognize where these tensions reside. Draw a circle around your body. Choose the chakra they are closest to, and do the basic pose for this chakra. This may be enough. If it isn't, consider doing the balancing poses, staying when you find relief for your tension, and returning to the basic pose to check in and see if your attention has been successful. When this process is complete, move into a seated position or lie on your back in Savasana. In child's pose or a simple cross-legged seated position, I find good opportunity to see if I need anything else. And when you return to a gentle stillness, you gain the chance to ask if you've done enough. If you haven't, move first to the chakras before and after the one you initially chose. See if they help by entering the basic pose and exploring the supplemental, balancing, and level 2 poses. When you do, you are intending towards stillness and release. So avoid building any more energy, but do go into the tension, breathe, and continue to ask what this tension needs in order to release and find center. Now is your best opportunity to work with this tension. If you complete the practice without doing this work, it's likely to stay with you. So even if you think you don't have the time, take the time to finish taking care of yourself. Remain aware. At the completion of a practice, you may well feel the echoes of your effort moving in your body. By holding stillness longer than may feel initially comfortable, you may find that many of these echoes will indeed dissolve. Allow your breath and your focus in stillness to do the work as much as you can. And at a point, you say enough, and you move into a final pose. I encourage you to sit or lie on your back in Savasana. Take some time to make basic adjustments. Grounding your sit bones in a seat, adjusting your ankles, creating a little space between your root and the placement of your feet. Lifting the shoulders, and then choosing to remain still, making further adjustments from within. Stay here. This is a time to reflect and to be open to what you have learned or any further messages that your body and spirit need to bring to your mind. Cherish what you learn now and carry it on into your life. Stay as long as you need to. And when you are done, complete your practice consciously Begin to move slowly.